Good morning. My name is Olga. First of all, let me thank you for the opportunity to speak here at TRA Virtual Academy. It is a great honor for me and our team. Let me introduce myself. I'm a leading consult and architect of e-government systems developed by NCC Corporation, which also has a representative office in the Arab Emirates in NCC Dubai. First of all, today, we would like to present the view of creation of the electronic government based on the Russian experience. In Russia, our company is engaged in it for a long time, about 10 years. All this time, we take an active part in these processes, and we have a lot to share with you. Every citizen interacts with different agencies to receive services. We register birth, request child support, ask for identity documents, etc. The diagram of electronic interaction between the state, business, and citizen is presented on the slide. The following levels of interaction can be distinguished here. G2C, this level is focused on improving and simplifying the processes of interaction between citizen and government agencies. G2B, between state and private companies, it is focused on simplifying the procedure of enterprises registration, transfer to a social insurance fund, taxes payment, etc. Also, a unified state tender system provides the creation of greater transparency. G2G, this level is focused on improving the efficiency of interaction between government, generate reliable information about public opinion, reduce the cost of maintaining state staff. E-government provides efficient and less costly administration, radical change in the relationship between society and government, improving democracy, and increasing the responsibility of the authorities to the people. The goal is to optimize processes of interaction between departments, citizens, and business. For citizens, it is ensure efficiency in the provision of services. For business, accelerate interaction with subordinate organizations and other authorities. And for departments, to ensure the openness and accessibility of information on the activities of agencies. Optimization of interaction, which we talked about, is first of all optimization of the process of providing services. And let us consider, using the example of Russian experience, how we went through the process of evolution of the service. We distinguished 4 stages, depending on the depth of e-government implementation. First stage, when citizen and business should decide the issue of collecting all necessary documents itself and receive services at a personal visit to agencies. And at some point comes the understanding that there is a possible to provide services more conveniently. The stage of creation of the multifunctional service centers and electronic service portal starts. At this stage, the operator of the multifunctional service center can collect documents and necessary information. Also, it became possible to integrate services for live situations. The main role here in the provision of services falls on the multifunctional service center. At the third stage, means of electronic interaction in the process of providing the services appear. Agencies developed and registered different interaction services that are available to other agencies, and information can be requested automatically. The role of the e-service portal and the MSC growing. At this stage, it is possible to implement complex requests when several various services without any limitation can be received within only one application. At the fourth stage, the transition to such a concept as proactive service becomes executable. For example, you have changed your surname. In this case, system will suggest you also change your passport, insurance number, tax number, driver license, etc. The declarative principle will remain invariable, but initialization will become proactive, can go from the renderer of the service. The Russian Federation has now entered for the fourth stage, and is developing in this direction. A United Nations Government Development Index, EGDI, is one of the key indicators for the development of the information society in the countries of the world. The e-government development index presents the level of e-government development. EGDI incorporates the access characteristics such as provision of online services, telecommunication, telecommunication connectivity, and human capacity. In the ranking of the United Nations, which is updated every 2 years and contained in the e-government survey, the position of countries are distributed based on the overall index they receive. Local e-government characteristic is Local Online Service Index. The LOSI comprises 18 indicators relating to 4 criteria: technology, content provision, service provision, and participation and engagement. Here is the United Nations ranking 2020. 18 cities, it is 16% are in the very high LOSI group, among them Madrid, New York, Tallinn, Paris, and Stockholm, Moscow, and others. 16 cities, it is 19% are in the high LOSI group. There are Sao Paulo, Brussels, Dubai, Toronto, and others. 33 cities are in the middle LOSI group and 23 cities in the low LOSI group. And now let's talk about the principle of single window that allows optimization to provide one-stop service to users when a citizen is freed from the need to receive information from other agencies, visit different offices, or to pay intermediaries. The customer is only required to submit an application and receive the result at one stop. The main goals of the implementation of single window principle are simplification of the obtaining services procedures and reducing the time for their provision, increasing comfort of services receiving process, reduction the number of documents provided by applicant, anti-corruption control, unification and automation of administrative procedures, increasing the satisfaction of citizens, and increasing transparency of the agencies. The single window principle will be effective only when service provision system has an established exchange of data between different agencies providing services, if regulatory requirements and formalities are adopted in the legislative level, and the government instructed the portal and the MSC to act as a single entry point for citizens in the process of service provision. Here on this slide, I would like to talk about possible traps that can be fallen into during the process of e-government building. We list the main ones. When we started building e-government, we want to be technologically advanced, up to date, sometimes not keeping up with the state reform. Budgets are spent on a technology procurement. And now we can say it is better to buy technology step by step according to the stage of the ongoing state reform. The next trap concerns the way the services is provided. When in Russian Federation the MSC were going to build, firstly it was planned to place an employee of different agencies in different windows in the same building. It is wrong. It should be the principle of single window, when all public services are available for one visit with the help of one operator in one window. It makes you think about optimal way to provide services, create expert system, and this leads to increased citizen satisfaction. Next mistake we made. In the Russian Federation, the MSC controlled by one regulator, and e-service portal by another. It would be more correct to create such system when the regulator controls both MSC and ES portal. It will simplify the interaction and make it transparent. Of course, there are not all traps along the way of e-government creation, but analyzing the experience of others, you can avoid some of them. The architecture of the Russian e-government can be divided into the following main layers. And in any state, due to historical development and the structure of agencies and departments providing services is well established. The question of successful implementation of e-government is relying on this infrastructure to modify it and to build new blocks in order to transfer services into a new quality. The first essential component is basic law. It is the law on personal data, electronic signature, and law on provision of services. The next step is to build interagency infrastructure that allows you to collect all necessary information for making decisions in the process of providing services. It is necessary to adopt various acts and create legislative regulations for the services provision process, and you need to build new service channels for the convenience of citizens. The formation of e-government requires coordinated organizational and technological measures and coordinated actions of state authorities within the framework of a unified state policy. The slide shows the main elements of e-government that have been created and are being improved to this day in the Russian Federation. And let us take a closer look at each element separately and start with the most important. Interagency electronic interaction system. It allows agencies to transfer and exchange data necessary for the services provision. The system allows to implement the principle of single window. A citizen applies for a service and the operator collects all necessary data from other agencies and departments using this electronic interaction system. The full-fledged work of e-government is unthinkable without well-established mechanism of interagency electronic interaction. From the point of view of the process technology, after the introducing on the one-stop shop principle, a person now completes on an application on the e-service portal or submits an application in the MSC office. The system calculates the responsible departments and transmits data to them through this interagency electronic interaction system. Then departments again through this system send requests to other agencies collecting all necessary data, and after which a decision is made and applicant receives the answer either directly on the portal or in the MSC office, especially if the decision is on the material nature, license, passport, and so on. The main functions of the interagency interaction system are transmission of requests, documents, and information required to obtain services, exchange electronic measures between participants, messages between participants, information and on the progress of requests and the results of the provision of services. And in order to fulfill these functions, interagency interaction system provides access to electronic services of the participation information systems, the possibility of using centralized database, receiving, processing, and delivering electronic messages, ensuring the recording of the possibility of tracing of messaging history, indicating their authorship and other, protection of transmitted information from unauthorized access, and maintaining a register of electronic services of the information systems connected to this interagency interaction system. The procedure of interaction between the participant in the interagency interaction system is regulated. When performing regulated procedures, the effectiveness of interaction between participants is a question of great importance. The participant must determine in his organization a group of persons responsible for communications, working group. This group must include at least 3 people, among whom at least one must be a technical specialist and one supervisor, personally responsible for ensuring information interaction between participants in the interagency interaction system. In information exchange through the interagency interaction system, 2 methods of interaction can be distinguished: asynchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous interaction occurs when, in response to a request from a consumer, the supplier sends an electronic message with a terminal status and result. Firstly, in Russia, electronic interaction system worked in the tube mode. How many requests got into, the same number flew on the site. And in asynchronous version of the interaction system, there is a special buffer that allows you to distribute the load on the information system. For example, servers withstood 20 simultaneous requests, 20 users went to the site, and for the 21st it turned to be unavailable. We made it so that the 21st, instead of unsuccessful attempts to go into the site, is invited to take a parking place and wait for his turn. This slide shows the main advantages that were achieved with the asynchronous interaction mode of the interagency interaction system. The next important element of effective e-government implementation is centralized regulation and management. In the Russian Federation, the Ministry of Communication and Mass Media has been appointed as the electronic interaction system operator. The operator ensures the operability of the interaction system and the regulation of information exchange, concludes agreement with consumers and suppliers to connect to this system, monitors the performance of all infrastructures, and provide resolution of the incidents that can arise among participants. In addition to the responsibilities of the interaction system operator presented on the slide, there are a number of other features pointed in regulatory legal acts. For interaction of participants, a technological portal has been launched, which allows registration on functional testing on the electronic services in their test environment, appeal of participants to each other, connection to this interagency electronic interaction system, registration of the information system in the productive environment, gaining access to the electronic services, information about service interruptions, etc. Now let's talk about electronic signature. That, of course, is a necessary attribute of e-government. The first electronic digital signature was adopted by domestic banks and credit organizations, which used it first of all as information security tool. And now in Russian Federation, e-government is fully consolidated on the e-signature. The user of electronic signatures, in addition to public services, is gradually spreading on the other areas of social interactions. E-signature is the information electronic way, which is formed using a unique combination of symbols and gives a legal force to an electronic document. An electronic signature ensures the confidentiality of signed information, identifies the author and the document, and allow to control changes that were made to the document. The use of e-signature reduced the cost of collecting, processing, delivery, and storage of documents. Nowadays in Russia, 3 types of electronic signature are used. It is simple, enhanced, unqualified, enhanced, qualified electronic signature. The choice of the electronic type, signature type, depends on the purpose. A simple electronic signature is in fact a combination of a login and password and confirmation code. An enhanced, unqualified e-signature is 2 unique sequences of the characters and symbols that are uniquely related to each other, the e-signature key and e-signature verification key. For its formation, cryptographic information protection means are used. Enhanced unqualified signature is not an analog of handwritten signature. It means that document was signed by a certain person and has not changed since then. And enhanced qualified e-signature differs from unqualified in that it uses cryptographic information protection means certified by a special organization of the Russian Federation. And such a signature can only be issued by a certification center. The enhanced unqualified or qualified signature, it is an analog of handwritten signature and it can be used everywhere. Implementation of e-signature ensured by a whole range of measures. It is the law itself that ensures the acceptance of documents signed by this signature in courts. These are technologies, encryption algorithms based on public and private keys. And the third component of this architecture is the organizational infrastructure, which includes certification centers. The certification centers issued certificates of e-signature. A qualified e-signature certificate can be obtained only at a certification center accredited by the Ministry of Telecom and Mass Communications of Russia. The scope of certification center includes insurance in the e-signature, transfer to all interested parties of the e-signature public key, cancelling of e-signature certificate in case of illegal actions, and confirmation the authenticity of the e-signature. The process of e-signature is strictly regulated by the legislation of the Russian Federation. Basic definitions used in the federal law are listed on this slide. It is what is e-signature, what is certificate of a signature verification key, what is qualified certificate, who is the owner of the certificate of a signature verification key, and certification, what is certification authority. Some basic principles of e-signature usage are shown here. Participants of the electronic interaction have the right to use an electronic signature of any kind at their discretion. The requirements to use a specific type of electronic signature for specific purpose of the interaction may be established by laws and by agreements between participants. Participants of electronic interaction can use any information technology means to meet the requirements of the law. Here I would like to say about another main component that are engaged in the implementation. One of these components is a digital profile of a citizen and identification and authentication system. A digital profile is a kind of set of identifiers of a citizen or a legal entity in different departments and agencies, as well as permission for personal data collection and transmission. The primary source of information are agencies and departments. With the help of this identifier, the system requests the remaining necessary data from other participants of interagency interaction that, on the one hand, ensures that citizen information is up to date, and on the other ensures the security of this data, since they are not stored in one place. It is necessary in order to our interagency infrastructure have all necessary data set for the public services provision. Identification and Authentication System, IAS, is a universal key to e-government resources in Russia. IAS provides a user with a single account for receiving electronic government services. Conventionally, the IAS can be called an electronic passport of a citizen of the Russian Federation. With its help, authorization occurs on various sites. E-government operator is responsible for creation the IAS accounts. In Russia, IAS is designed to provide identification and authentication of users, including one-time authentication, which give the opportunity, after passing the identification procedure on the IAS, the user can, during one session, access any information system using this system, identification system, while re-identification is not required. Support of various authentication methods by password, by electronic signature, as well two-factor authentication methods. Support for levels of users account. It is simple account, standard account, verified account. Maintains of identification data, namely maintaining registers of individual entrepreneurs, legal entities, organization, and information systems. The information security is one of the important components of the provision of public services in electronic form. When implementing e-government in Russia, research of analyzing possible threats were regularly carried out, and on the basis of which requirements for the information protection when using e-services are formed. One of main questions is personal data protection. The important step was the adoption of the federal law on personal data. The purpose of this law is to ensure the protection of human rights and freedoms when processing his personal data. This law defines such basic concepts of the personal data processing as what is personal data, who can be the operator, what is personal data processing, automated processing of personal data, and which information system of personal data can be established. The processing of personal data means any actions or set of actions performed with the personal data using automatic tools or without using these tools. And main principles are listed on this slide. The processing of personal data should be limited to the achievement on specific predetermined goals. It is not allowed to combine database containing personal data in processing of which is carried out of the purpose incompatible with each other. When necessary personal data, the accuracy of personal data must be ensured. Storage of personal data should not be carried out in form that allows should be carried out, in form that allows you to determine the subject of personal data no longer than it is required by the purpose that was predetermined. One of the important components of e-government is a single window principle, which we discussed earlier. In order to reach the indicator of share of citizens with access services in the principle of single window not less than 90%, the key mechanism for solving this problem was the creation of a network of multifunctional service centers and e-service portals. A large role of the reform of e-government implementation played multifunctional service centers for the provision of public services. In different countries, they are called differently. They are also known as one-stop shop, customer happiness center, etc. Multifunctional centers actually solves a lot of problems, simplifying communication with authorities, and are a successful state project in Russia. The customer here is only required to submit an application and receive the result. The staff of the MSC and the relevant agencies must carry out the rest of the process, including interagency interaction. In 2012, the federal law on amending certain legislative acts of the Russian Federation was adopted to remove restrictions on the provisions of state municipal services on a single window principle. At first time, the basis principle of e-government work were determined exactly in this document, which is to these days the basis of the digitalization of the services delivery sector. Citizens receive services in several ways. One of the channels for receiving services, as we talked, is the MSC. Here, citizens feel comfortable during the processes of the receiving public services, which are located nearby with universal operators who provide full range of public services through information system. Other channels are e-service portal and mobile application. And now, in Russian Federation, usual channels, agencies and departments are also available, but not popular. Today, a developed network of the MSC has been implemented in 85 regions of Russia, numbering 50,000 of windows in 13,000 of MSC offices. More than 100 million applications is rendered per year. Now in Russia, 97.5% of services are rendered through the MSC and the e-service portal. Indicators of citizen satisfaction for last 6 years is given on the slide. This indicator grew in process of the advanced stages of development of services of e-government. A large role in rendering public services also played by e-service portal. At the end of October 2009, Prime Minister approved the plan for the transition of public services in electronic form. And by this time, e-service portal was launched. General service information, terms, necessary documents, and application forms appeared on it. E-service portal is gaining popularity in Russia. And 2018, the share of Russians who used electronic government service reached 74.8%. The number of electronic applications that users filled out and sent through the portal reached 2.4 billion per year, and dynamics and depth of the use of e-portal grows. The key law that determined the further development of e-government in Russia is the law on the process of public services provision. Firstly, this law defined the concept of e-service portal. Secondly, it introduced such concept as the MSC and portal. The MSC, created on the principle of single window, is a legal entity established by one or another participant of the provision of public services, which essentially works as an intermediary between customer and agencies and constantly improving the service providing process. This law determined who could create the MSC, how they should operate, and obliged the departments to work with them. The law also defines such important concept as a personal storage document. Sometimes in Russia, most of the documents were personal storage document, passport, birth certificate, and other. And this law restricted the list of these documents and prohibited authorities from requiring other documents from citizens. This led to the fact that agencies and departments were forced to integrate into the structure of interagency electronic interaction. The results of implementation of information and communication technologies in e-government agencies at some point in Russia were predominantly of an interior nature, which didn't significantly improve interagency interaction and improve the quality of public services. This problem is systemic and is caused, firstly of all, by the lack of uniform, detailed principles of working with data and requirements for IT systems. The information technology standardization process is global in nature. Standards have been developed that define functions, interaction protocols, interfaces, and other aspects, programming languages, specification of information resources, and database manipulation, methods of verifying IT system comply with initial standards and profiles, methods of and procedures for the function of the IT systems, and meta languages and notations for describing IT standards. And in December 2013, the Ministry of Telecom and Mass Communication approved an order established requirements for IT systems and organizations that are connected to the interagency electronic interaction system. The order in particular approves the requirement of the communication channels and the means of cryptographic protection of information, as well as specifies of using standards and protocols when exchanging data in electronic form. Among the requirements, it is the need to connect to the IT system of agencies to data transmission networks that provide a transmission speed at least 1 megabit per second. Determine languages, specification, and protocols that connected IT system must support. In terms of information security requirements, it is indicated that in order to connect to a secure environment of the infrastructure, it is necessary to use means of cryptographic protection of the communication channels. And firewalls of connected IT systems that provide control over information entering systems must be certified. To build such an architecture of e-government, there are a number of solutions, and using one of them as an example, we will tell you about the details of the process of e-government building and transforming. CITEX, developed by NCC, it is a universal platform that allows you to build web-oriented applications on a single platform, ensuring the creation of a single information environment, minimizing the cost of the creating, maintaining and developing systems and abilities step-by-step development. On the basic platform was developed such models as service constructor, solutions for automation of the activities of the multifunctional service center, service provider portal, and a lot of other. Development and configuration is carried out through the administrative console, which provides a large range of special tools that allow you to create new objects without programming, as well as design new types of objects and link them together, describe the structure of the organization, create and edit business process, configure and control access to the information, and a lot of other features. The service constructor allows using a set of tools without programming to create a new e-service based on the acts and regulations. See a preliminary version of the form, support version of the services, publish this service, electronic service, to different points, and receive VSDL or XSD description. The service constructor provides easy service creation wizard tool, which allows you to create service step by step. Here is 5 steps determined. Return to any step without data loss. Describe the entry service life cycle. Identification of access to create services between administration, specialists of the department. Use of external directories with ability to load data from external sources. And now we can say that described approaches and tools made it possible to form an effective government in the Russian Federation, which every day continues to improve and optimize approaches to the interaction of a citizen, business, and the state. And let us talk a little bit about numbers. A start point of e-government creation in Russia, we consider 2009, when the government adopted a plan for the transition to e-government. From 2009 to 2018, the Russian Federation has achieved great success, has significantly increased in the ratings. For example, according to United Nations e-government survey 2018, among top 10 of the 40 pilot cities, Moscow ranks the highest, following by Cape Town and Tallinn. And some statistics are shown on the slide. Such a significant growth of the Russian index is associated with a rapid development of in the country of all 3 components, on basis which The index calculates electronic services, telecommunication infrastructure, and human capital. In 2018, 74.8% of citizens get online services, 86 million of users worked with e-service portal, 95.5% of departments use electronic interaction channels, and about 60 million services rendered per year. Also, I would like to emphasize that the project of introducing implementation e-government is not such a technology as a state reform, and such reform can be carried out only by the government. The key success factors are listed on the slide. They are the attention of the first person to the problems of e-government, appointment of e-government regulator who controls KPI. For example, in Russia, it is the Ministry of Communications. This regulator comes up with a legislative initiative. It defines and controls the operator, based on which, in turn, an interagency infrastructure is created. The other side is interagency working groups, which are necessary in order to optimize services, to translate them into electronic form. It controls these groups, sets the KPI. Interagency working group establishes the regulations of the services provision and determine compliance level of the agency systems that is necessary for integrating to the interagency infrastructure. The next success factor is timely creation of the regulatory framework. And the level of technology supply that will be used to build e-government, and the next key success factor is the prompt and proper creation of interagency infrastructure for the provision of services. And finally, this is a regular KPI control by e-government regulator. Now we will provide our view on implementation of e-government process based on the architecture that we said above. We have identified the main steps by year. The slide is divided in two zones. Above are the steps of the reform to be undertaken, and from the bottom are technologies and competence that need to be introduced, starting from the mobilization phase. That is necessary to adopt regulations and laws to deploy an interagency infrastructure. And for example, in Russia, the multifunctional service centers was launched before the interagency infrastructure was created. MSC in this case became the driving force of the development of e-government. And in the next stages, we will increase the coverage of interagency information interaction, and we will increase the level of the service digitalization. For the processes of the implementation of e-government, National Computer Corporation can provide full range of consulting services, deployment, the competence centers based on the customer and a lot of others. Thank you very much for your attention. And now, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate. I will gladly to answer all of them. Is there any questions? Okay, I will wait a little bit. Please do not hesitate and answer your questions. I can see a question. Who is responsible for the operation of the services of electronic portal? Of course, there should be a centralized legislative base, and then their agencies and departments are responsible to implement services into electronic form, to follow these rules, to follow these acts and regulations, but they can do it in their own way and using their own meanings, technical meanings. Okay, thank you very much once again, and let me thank the TRA Academy for the opportunity to speak here today. I was very pleased, and I hope you do. Have a nice day, everyone, and goodbye.